Recreation as Recreation: How TR Can Ignite the Desire to Change. The following is a story about my mother, or so I thought. The initial concept for this story came to me when I was considering what I could do to help her. I wanted her to change the behaviors that were negatively impacting her life. I felt that she could change, if only she would try. After writing the first few paragraphs, I realized that the story was taking a new shape. During one of my courses at the University of Waterloo that focused on personal philosophies and theories of therapeutic recreation, I was introduced to the concept of le regard, or the gaze, coined by the French philosopher Michel Foucault. My professor interpreted this in a unique way that really stood out for me, in that when we point our finger and find problems in others, we must realize that there are 3 fingers pointing back at ourselves. This concept spoke to me as while I was pointing one finger at my mother to try to change, I was pointing 3 back at myself in judgment of her that was actually making things worse for the both of us. I recall the moment I became aware that my story was going to take a drastic turn, a turn that focused more on myself than my mother. This was hard to admit, but ultimately has created a much more applicable story to share with you, a story that most of us can relate to. While in this story, I speak to individuals practicing therapeutic recreation, I hope this message can be interpreted by everyone. I do not think I'm alone in wanting the best for the people I love, to see them happy, healthy, and thriving in life. This is a story about my mother, and how I realized that I could not control her behavior to change, but how through my approach of care and background in therapeutic recreation could foster a desire within her to change. My mother is a fun woman. Throughout my childhood, she was creative, innovative, and taught me the importance of play through her natural curiosity and love for life. She was able to make the simplest things intriguing and exciting, like finding a bug under a log or making games out of the weekly chores my brother and I were expected to do. My mother also applied her use of play to help others through her work over the years, and is a graduate of a Recreation and Leisure Services program. It seemed a natural fit when I myself decided to study recreation and leisure, following in her footsteps through the examples she set for me. I credit many of my personal views on my approach to working in therapeutic recreation to her, such as her use of play and a beginner's mindset, much like that of a child. I have come to call this fresh eyes, as it is easy to see the beauty and majesty in all things through this perspective. My mother also has depression. She was not diagnosed until her early 40s. However, looking back, I believe this was something she has struggled with for most of her life. In her 50s, and after a variety of life-shaping events, my mother's depression worsened. Depression can be debilitating, and is a very difficult thing to watch a person go through, especially your own mother. The labeling of depression or any other mental illness comes with assumptions, stereotypes, and stigma. I realize now that I was guilty of making these assumptions, and that although my concern came from a place of caring, I viewed her diagnosis as a deficit. I wanted so much to help my mother, to fix her, to give her a pill to make it all go away. I wanted her to change, to make better decisions that would help, not hinder, how she coped with her depression. I wanted her to quit smoking, eat healthier, understand that drinking and antidepressants did not mix well. I told her these things too. If you did this, or why don't you do that? Paternalism is a behavior performed by a person or an organization which limits someone's liberty or autonomy for what is presumed to be for that person's own good. There are 2 kinds of paternalism, strong and weak. Strong paternalism refers to the tendency to prevent people from making their own decisions due to the assumption that the individual is not capable of making good decisions. Weak paternalism is similar, yet slightly less insidious, as it refers to the tendency to prevent people deemed incompetent from making decisions that could be potentially harmful to themselves or others. Weak paternalism stems from that place of having good intentions. For many of us, it is part of our human nature to stop the people we love from doing things that we think will cause them harm. But the real harm, perhaps, comes from not affording them the dignity to make their own decisions or take their own risks. The should and should not paternalistic approach did not have the results I had hoped for. At first I felt that I was being helpful, but the look on my mother's face after I would give her my advice did not look hopeful. On the contrary, she looked defeated. I feel terrible admitting this, but I have made my mother cry on numerous occasions. Her feelings of being judged resulted in her pulling away from our relationship. I would also then pull away. Now, not only was I not helping, I was creating more of a rift between us. I stopped visiting her, calling her, I avoided her. Now my relations with her seemed obligatory and trying. Another concept I have explored that has helped me in my approach to care is having an understanding of the difference between the medical and social models of care. Within the medical model, we are labeling depression as a problem and the necessity to cure an individual of that problem. Relating back to the philosopher Foucault, there are 5 underlying assumptions with the medical model: mind-body dualism, physical reductionism, the doctrine of specific etiology, a machine metaphor of the body, and regimen and control. The underlying assumptions of the medical model state that one's deficits need to be fixed or improved. Moving towards the social model, I saw more of a focus on one's strengths and the value of relationships. In order to rebuild a stronger relationship with my mother, I realized that focusing on how I could fix her and looking at the depression from the view of the medical model was flat out not working. Looking at these models through the lens of therapeutic recreation, this meant I needed to shift my approach and thought process. I started to look at other models that could better assist me, such as the Flourishing Through Leisure model, where all aspects of well-being are taken into account. The question now was, how could I rebuild our relationship and ignite a desire to change from within in order to empower my mother to feel happy again? A side note on being happy. People who feel like they are doing meaningful things don't necessarily feel happy, so it is okay to feel certain emotions and thoughts in the moment, but allowing yourself to understand that those are just thoughts and not facts is necessary to remember. Happiness is defined as a momentary, transient feeling that arises from having one's needs and wants satisfied. Meaningfulness, however, refers to the search and struggle to engage in activities that have purpose to the individual. It is a forward-looking pursuit. Not being happy is actually quite normal, but therapeutic recreation aims to help the individuals we serve to discover this meaning through recreation. One of the ways that initially helped me to recognize a more productive way to empower my mother was through the practice of mindfulness. As therapeutic recreation specialists, practicing mindfulness teaches us to notice our past, present, and future experiences without judgment. I found that if I was able to note particular sensations without judgment and see them as one of many sensations that come and go throughout the day, the negative cycle of control could be avoided. We need to take in the idea of mindfulness to be a non-judgmental component so that we can recognize that perhaps these particular thoughts or feelings may be predisposing. Through mindfulness practice, we as therapeutic recreation specialists will be able to focus more on what is best for the clients, as we will be able to pause before reacting, accept emotions, and be aware of nonverbal cues. Mindfulness is the heart of therapy, and it is a capacity that can be learned by anyone. It creates happiness, improves immune functions, and helps reduce burnout. It is also the key ingredient in regards to an interpersonal relationship of respecting differences and promoting compassion with individuals. Ultimately, we become more versatile, the people we serve become more integrated, and therapeutic relationships are strengthened. As therapeutic recreation specialists, the individuals we work with function at various levels of capacity that influence their ability to make decisions. We can sometimes find ourselves overpowering our clients, resulting in the loss of their autonomy, as we can feel our thoughts regarding their treatment are better for them. Preserving autonomy is critical in maintaining a therapeutic presence with my mother. We need to constantly remember and renew the commitment we made to maintain the autonomy of the individuals we work with. We must explore the inner wisdom and wholeness that lies deep within our clients, but also recognize the pain and disconnection they may be experiencing due to their mental illness. We have to fully accept our clients and provide compassion while we support them on their journey as they uncover layers of their pain and suffering and work towards a place of mindfulness and wellness through a variety of services we offer. As I started to incorporate my learning and past experiences, I found that I became much more able to relate to what my mother may be feeling and how I was hindering and not helping. I made a shift that focused on her, set depression aside, and considered ways that I could promote well-being through leisure in order for her to want to change rather than being told she should change. I started to simply ask my mother if she wanted to walk the dog with me, do a puzzle, or work in the garden. I want to end with an image of a plant in my mother's garden and tell you a little story about this plant. The plant's ability to grow in a sometimes adverse climate is a testament to an individual's ability to persevere. The plant symbolizes growth and upward movement. On the flip side, too little or too much nurturing of the plant can cause it to wither or die. By learning how best to care for the plant with many considerations, we can help the plant to flourish. We cannot force the plant to grow. We cannot take away the plant's agency, no matter how good our intentions are. We can only help by doing our best to provide it with the environment conducive to growth and change, and watch it with a supportive heart and open mind. I invite you to think about the plant, think about your clients, and think about the people in your life that you want to help to change. Imagine how you can empower them all to grow by removing paternalism, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in therapeutic presence to support organic and meaningful change. The profession of therapeutic recreation is in a unique position to support these flowers, the people we care for, to bloom by acknowledging and celebrating the person wherever they are at in their journey.